Rejected, failed, broke, humiliated, lost everything. That was my year. Job gone, relationship ended, savings depleted. And while scrolling through success stories online, everyone seemed to be winning except me. Then I discovered something that changed everything. Not a motivational quote, not toxic positivity, but a samurai principle from the Hagakure that sounds completely insane. Hardship is cause for rejoicing. When disaster befalls a samurai, he must rejoice and leap at the chance to proceed with energy and courage. Wait, rejoice at disaster? Celebrate failure? This sounded delusional, but I tested it for 60 days. Every setback became a signal, not a stop sign. Every failure became data, not defeat. And what happened was remarkable. I didn't just recover, I transformed. The very things that were destroying me became the foundation for something better. And in the next 9 minutes, I'm showing you exactly how this ancient samurai mindset turns adversity into your unfair advantage, using principles that warriors proved through centuries of actual hardship. Welcome to Japanese Sec, Rets, where ancient samurai wisdom meets modern life. Before we begin, comment below which city you're watching from and what you think about this video. Now, before you think this is just another mindset video, understand that samurai didn't develop this philosophy in a seminar. They proved it through real battles, actual defeats, and life-threatening situations. The Hagakure states clearly, it is not enough simply to avoid feeling discouraged. In the face of hardship, when disaster befalls a samurai, he must rejoice and leap at the chance to proceed with energy and courage. Well, might one say that such an attitude transcends mere resignation? This isn't about pretending everything is fine. It is about recognizing that hardship does something adversity cannot. It reveals capacity you didn't know you had. The text continues, when the water is high, the boat rises. Your potential rises with your problems. But most people never discover this because they spend all their energy avoiding difficulty instead of using it. Here's what the samurai understood that we've forgotten. Easy times make you weak. Not morally weak, structurally weak. When everything goes smoothly, you never test your limits. You never discover what you're actually capable of. You live in a comfort zone that feels like growth but is actually stagnation. The Hagakure warns about this. When one begins to succeed, they become extraordinarily pleased with themselves, arrogant, and indulge in inexcusable luxury. Therefore, anyone who has never known suffering has not fully established his character. It is better to know hardship when young. Let me show you how I applied this over 60 days. First, I stopped labeling experiences as good or bad. This sounds abstract, but it's practical. When I lost my job, my immediate thought was disaster. The samurai approach asks, what does this make possible? Losing the job freed 40 hours per week. Hours I'd been saying I needed to start my business but never had. The disaster was actually forced opportunity. I started asking, what does this setback reveal? When a business partnership fell through, my gut reaction was betrayal and anger. But the samurai principle pushed me to examine, what weakness in my judgment led here? What skill am I missing? The failed partnership revealed I was terrible at vetting people. So I spent a month learning due diligence. That skill has protected me ever since. The failure wasn't the problem. Staying ignorant would have been. Second, I created what I call a hardship journal. Every day, I wrote 3 things. What went wrong today? What this teaches me? What action this enables? This practice came from the samurai concept of daily reflection preparing you for crisis. The Hagakure says, truly important problems are few. Therefore, it is necessary to plan ahead what to do in case of a crisis. By processing daily difficulties, I was training for bigger ones. Third, I deliberately sought uncomfortable situations, not recklessly, strategically. The text says, a samurai who becomes tired or discouraged in times of misfortune is of no use. It is better to know hardship when young. I took on projects above my skill level, had conversations I'd been avoiding, tackled problems I'd been postponing. Each uncomfortable situation was training. Fourth, I stopped comparing my struggle to others' success. The Hagakure offers perspective. In an age of great men, It is difficult to make a name for oneself. When the world at large is going to cede, it is relatively easy to excel. If you're facing harder circumstances than others, you have opportunity they don't. When the bar is low, standing out is easy. When competition is fierce, becoming great requires more, but also means more. Fifth, I embraced the concept of complete failure. This seems counterintuitive, but the text is clear. Even a failure is of no use unless a man fails thoroughly and utterly, and knows the greatest possible hardship. Partial failure teaches partial lessons. Total failure forces total reassessment. When my first business attempt completely collapsed, I learned more in 6 months than the previous 6 years. The complete failure forced me to question every assumption I had. That was the gift. Here's what 60 days of this practice created. A project I was anxious about failed spectacularly. Instead of devastation, I felt curiosity. What went wrong? What do I need to learn? Within a week, I'd identified 3 critical skills I lacked and started acquiring them. A relationship ended that I'd been holding onto out of comfort, not genuine connection. The ending freed me to meet someone who actually aligned with my values. The loss was actually gaining clarity. Financial pressure forced me to get creative with income. That creativity led to a side income stream that now exceeds what my old job paid. The pressure created the solution. The samurai principle proved true. Disaster doesn't destroy you if you use it correctly. It reveals capacity you didn't access before. It forces growth you wouldn't pursue voluntarily. It creates urgency that motivation alone never provides. But here's the critical distinction. This isn't about staying in bad situations. The samurai left positions, ended relationships, walked away from battles they couldn't win. Embracing hardship doesn't mean accepting abuse. It means using difficulty as information and catalyst. When something goes wrong, you have 2 options. Spend your energy resisting reality and feeling victimized, or spend that same energy extracting every lesson and advantage from the situation. The samurai chose option 2 not because they were masochists, but because they were pragmatists. Suffering happens. The question is whether you transform through it or just endure it. 60 days of rejoicing at disaster taught me that your worst moments contain your biggest breakthroughs if you are willing to look for them. The boat rises when the water is high. Your capacity expands when pressure increases. That's not optimism. That's physics. Comment below what hardship you're facing right now, and commit to finding one advantage hidden inside it. And if you want more authentic samurai wisdom for transforming adversity into strength, subscribe to Japanese Secrets. The ancient warriors mastered hardship long before we tried to avoid it.